Hi, this is Paul from globaltradingsoftware.com. This is a Forex trading tutorial. So this tutorial really helps you frame the charts so you don't get into trouble, because you need to find reasons as traders not to take a trade. If you can't find those reasons and you've got a good signal, so the signals in this case today, I'm going to be looking at the X-spread algo, for example. Then, if the signals are good and you've got fresh air, no support and resistance zones, then you take them. But one of the things we really must understand is the behavior of the market. So this is the 15-minute time frame on US dollar Japanese yen. Now, to me, this seems obvious, but I need to let you know, to understand where I find these support and resistance zones. They're not levels. They're a zone in price where we get reactions consistently over the last 2 or 3 days. Okay, so if we really look left on this point here, let me zoom in. Again, this will take a little time, but you need to understand where I'm drawing this. So one of the things I've also got on here is my auto harmonic pattern indicator. You see the D pivot completed in the automated completion zone here, and again in this point here as well. So they're very strong pivots, if you like. So what I like to do is I look left. And if I look left on this particular point here, I've got a zone where we get a big rejection candle here. We get a rejection candle at the top end of the zone. The back pattern started, that first pivot started in that zone, came down to test this zone. The zone isn't just these two pivots. We get this other pivot at point here that sort of helps us differentiate that low. There's the high. There's the two pivots, the A and C pivot. There's a test again, there's a test again, there's a test again. This is repeatedly tested. That behavior really does act as support in that zone of price. And then we can see some great resistance in this zone that I've drawn. Again, it's not 1 or 2 points, it's 3, 4, 5, 6 points, really making those strong support and resistance zones. But what that does is stops you from getting in a trade too early, so we don't short in support. So here we see a 6-star sell. We're only interested in that sell if it becomes below this support and resistance zone. It didn't, it held as support. Okay, we get a 5-star buy at this point here going into resistance. We're not interested in that, but the 6-star X-spread algo candle is just outside of there. And when we look at this, we just do a simple fib extension. The 6-star buy candle there, we would enter just above that candle. The pivot is just below the stop loss is just below that in a pivot before the candle. And we put a little risk to reward on there. And that is a 1-to-1. So if you're scalper, okay. For me, not okay. Okay, so that stops me from getting in the trade. It did go and test that resistance level, and if you're a scalper and really keeping an eye on this, that does actually work. And if 1-to-1 is your risk to reward, then that's good for you. If you want to adjust the risk to reward below the signal candle or just below the support zone, that risk reward becomes a lot better. So you'll be more aggressive with that. So if I just put on a 222, a 2 and a 4, 1.6, we can see actually if we're very aggressive with that stop, just because we've done our work and we've put that support zone in there, when we get this signal candle, we have a very tight stop below this support zone. Our risk reward is 1 to 2 into that next resistance zone. So again, depending on how aggressive your stops are and this effort that you're going to make to put in these support and resistance zones is going to help you make those decisions. So we then move on. We see we've got 3, 5, 6-star sells here. We're not going to short into support. Then we get a 5 and a 6-star sell here. We're not going to short into support. However, we do say that if we get, and we've got a lot of fresh air on here because we only start to draw this support zone here. If it does break this support, then that signal is good and we go short. Really, really good trade. Again, we start to then see a big pivot and a move up to our previous support zone, which is now acting as resistance. We get a 5 and a 6 star sell, but we only take this short once we're below this support zone, this new one that we've drawn in. It's only new at the moment. We then have a great trade coming down. Fantastic trade. We then push back up and we find an initial pivot. Okay, we come back down. We get a higher low than this previous pivot. We push back up. We get a slightly higher high here. We come back down and all of a sudden now we start to define a zone. Here, start of the butterfly pattern. Here at this pivot point here. We push up, we come back down, we test it again. We test it again at the top at this point. We're still testing this previous one that we've put in here as well now as resistance. We're starting to understand what the behavior is, what's going on with this behavior. Also now we look at parallel channels. So as we get a butterfly pattern form here, we can see with the butterfly pattern, the D pivot is quite a bit higher than that initial point, and we get the start of the butterfly, the D pivot here, and then we get another test at this point here. Also, when we draw the parallel lines, we get support here, here, and at the A pivot. So this is a non-linear support and resistance zone, is what we call a channel. So when we then obviously get signals like a short signal here going into support, we don't take it. When we get a 4 and a 5 and a 6 star sell, we don't take it. We don't short into support. And as we move along, we get a 6 star sell here, very close to pushing down through. It did break this non-linear channel here. So our entry for this is very, very simple. We want to say we've got a big 6 star sell here. It's closed outside of the channel. We want to go short below this support zone here. That's our entry. Very, very simple. Because we've done the work. We've understood the behavior here. This high, this pivot here, this pivot here, pivot here, pivot here. So we've got the channel now. And also we've got the support and resistance zone. We have the 6 star sell signal at this point. Confirmation from our bias depth heat map. All 6 time frames that are higher than this are actually red. So we've got great confirmation. So this is our entry short at this point here. We get that initial entry here, comes back into that zone, which acts as resistance at this point, and then pushes right down here. We've got another harmonic pattern forming at the moment. It's not ready to go short yet. What I'm looking for on this behavior right now is that the projected completion zone of these 2 purple lines here. What I'd really like now is this D pivot to come up, complete into this previous support and resistance zone and the projected completion zone where it's a really good opportunity to go short and then look for a short coming down. So it's all about continuing that story. Now I've got an A and a C pivot here as well. I need to start thinking about this could be a strong support zone. So let's put that in. This is a continual job that traders must do. We've got these other ones up above and they could come into play in the next 2 or 3 days. If they don't, they're probably not going to be really that strong. But right now we just need to extend this one out to the right. We need to extend this one just in case we come up. And now we've got a potential new support zone forming here. So this continual job of framing those charts to ensure that when you get signals, whether they're harmonic patterns, XPRAT algo, or whatever trading signal software you're using, that you have that opportunity to say no. But if you can't find the reason not to trade, if you've got your bias depth heat map, and I'll put the links to all of these trading indicators down below in the description, if you've got that confirmation, if you've got that signal, and you've got a sensible entry strategy outside of that, then you take the trade, because there's no reason not to. There's reasons not to trade these shorts here because we don't short into support. There's reasons not to take this long here because we don't go long into resistance. But then when we've cleared all that and we've got fresh air, we take the trade. Hopefully that's been helpful for you Forex traders. I hope to speak to you soon.